Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Two Gents Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ron Spikes. I say two gents, but I get it confused. I'm sorry. I do too many shows, I guess. And I'm not like, when I get on here, the first thing I'm thinking about is those two gentlemen that's normally on here, Byron Glass and Pastor L. Friggins. We got an intriguing subject today, though. I realized that Senator Lindsey Graham passed away, and everybody's up in arms about that. And I listened to Byron talk about it yesterday somewhat. And I think we're going to have an intriguing show on Tuesday. You know, last Tuesday I had to do it by myself. So this Tuesday, Byron Glass and everybody to be on. So, you know, this is sitting in your space. This is a space where I created, where I could come in here and talk to my people. When I say talk to my people, I can talk to my people that's out there. I don't have to worry about what else is going on in the world. I can just talk directly to my people. So today, the subject matter today is about what happens when Black Americans don't serve on juries. What happens? You ever thought about that? Because it's supposed to be a representation of your peers, but if you're doing everything that you can to get out of it, there's no representation for us. But then, you know, at the end of it, you know who's the biggest complainer about the outcomes of the sentences and everything that goes on? We want to take it to the media. We want to take it to the streets. We want to do everything except serve on jury duty. Now, I must admit, I can't call nobody out without calling myself out, because sometimes when I was working, and I had a project going on, and they summoned me for jury duty, I didn't want to be there. But as I got older and I began to learn more about politics, and I began to see how things work a little bit different. No, you can't complain about what happens afterward if you don't do anything to help it go a different way. If you don't take up that civic duty and go out there and serve on those jury duties, because we're still, when we go into that jury system, when we get into that other system, if it's nobody there that looks like us, of course they're going to throw the books at us. They're going to throw the books because they have not lived the life of a person. They don't understand what it means to be without. Most of those people that go in those jury pools are white, retired, ex-school teachers, and they select them for that very reason. The jury pool could be biased, but if it's biased only if we don't serve on it. If we don't give them an opportunity to have one person on that jury that could possibly, as I'm gonna say it like Byron says it, because you can be sitting there on that jury, but if you don't open up your mouth and defend nobody, you're not serving a purpose. Now I'm just telling you, Byron said you can sit there, but if you don't open up your mouth, you're not helping anybody. So even though you go into a jury pool, you gotta participate. But most people don't even want to serve. They find every excuse. They look for relatives in the court system. They look for every excuse not to be there. And I'm not taking away from the ones that have a legitimate reason why they can't be there. I'm just taking away from the ones that don't have a reason to do it. Sometimes we just got to be honest. For a lot of us, getting that jury summons in the mail starts with the same conversation. How do I get out of this? We joke about it. We trade strategies. We complain about missing work. We talk about inconveniences. And even if we were being real, some of us have already decided we're not going before we even open the envelope. But today I want to ask you a different question. I just want to ask you a different question. Not whether Black Americans avoid jury duty, not whether the system is set up fairly, not whether jury duty is inconvenient. I just want to ask you what happens when Black Americans don't serve on juries. And maybe even a deeper question. If people are not choosing to participate in one of the few places ordinary serious citizens directly influence justice, what is that behavior trying to tell us, teach us about the system? Because if you don't understand the problem, you can't improve it. And you heard me say earlier that, we're the first ones to go hit the streets. When that harsh sentence come down, he should have got better representation. She should have got better representation. She didn't have no representation. We blame it all on the lawyer. Well, even an incompetent lawyer can present a good case to a biased jury and still get the same outcome. See, this is the kind of stuff that people don't like to hear. But if you want to talk to real people and just real talk for my people, and you can sit in your space and listen to me, I just want to borrow a little bit of your time. I don't want to take your whole day. I just want to borrow a little bit of your time during your day to tell you how to correct some small things. And in the future, instead of protesting, being reactive versus being proactive. Proactive means that you open a jury summons, you lay out a day that you know that you're going to be there. Now, when I say that, some people can't afford to take off because they're not going to be paid for it. Some people can't afford to take off to go serve jury duty because they're not going to be paid for it because they can't pay their bills in this economy. So I understand. But for the ones that have the opportunity where your workplace is going to pay for it, and you can go down there and, as Pastor Riggins, get your $33 on top of that, you don't have no excuse why the jury pool doesn't consist of people that look like them. And they might throw you out. But that's on them. That's not on you because you went down to serve. And that's where we got to get to. We got to solve the basic problems of what we want by doing the stuff that matters. You always hear people talk about politics are local. Judgment is local too, because everybody in the nation could see a person getting a harsher sentence, but the people that actually are responsible for that person getting a harsher sentence might not even show up on jury duty. I think that a person of my skin color that sit out there and have at least one person in there. I almost made a joke, but I'm not going to make a joke because this is serious. We need to understand that this is part of the duty that we do as people. Part of it is voting, but part of it is going to jury duties to support people that look like you. Now, if they're wrong when you get to a jury pool. I'm not asking you to change your decision. I'm not asking you to reframe whatever you thought you have in mind. I'm just asking you, when you sit there and you get an opportunity to get it in the mail, open up the envelope and plan on going. Then plan on going, sitting there, and going through the cycle or whatever it takes to get to that jury pool. Not saying that you're going to make it, because they dismiss, they have the right to dismiss whoever they want to. But at least get there. Because if we don't understand the problem, I'm going to say it again, we can't improve it. This is not an accusation. Some problems are just invitations for you to just look at. Invitations for you to learn. Invitations for you to understand. Invitations for us to grow as a people, so we can do better by our people. So we can go take that path that normally people say that we don't go down. It's almost like them saying we don't read books. But if they set up a jury pool and we don't participate, but we complain and other people talk about us, they get outside the state and the first thing they're doing is talking about what's going on. And I can't believe they let that guy down there got 10 years for picking up dropping a piece of paper on the street, or throwing trash out of their car, or something that simple. And I might have just made it small, but that's what happens. But then we want to come out and protest in droves. What happened to the participation on the front end? Here's the thing that we do. I said we, because I'm going to include myself in that. The history we don't talk about. There was a time when Black Americans wasn't simply avoiding jury service. Maybe you didn't hear me. There was a time where Black people didn't avoid it. Jury service. It just wasn't included in it. They wouldn't let us serve. People fought to get into the system so they can help people get better. But if we don't utilize the system to do that, what are we? Where are we? What is our future? And you may say, well, Ron, talking about something that ain't gonna make a difference. Let me share something with you. This weekend I was looking at YouTube. That's the gospel. No, I'm not, just joking. But I was looking at YouTube. And do you know they had a plan for Black Americans, that they wasn't the real reason why they say health care wasn't offered to Black Americans? It wasn't going to be a health care system put in place because they want to kill off a certain group. And they didn't care how they did it. They were under the illusion that if they didn't offer health care to everybody, that the Black race was going to die off. But if you go back in history and you look at the history, Black people wasn't dying. We were resilient people. When they brought you from Africa, as they say, think about that. You traveled across the ocean and you got here and you survived and you got into those fields and you worked and you survived. The ones that was dying off was them. Just let that digest in your mind. But they had a system set up in place where they wasn't going to offer 100% Medicare, 100% health care, because of they wanted to destroy a race of people. And that's sad within itself. People fought court battles to sit in for battles to just sit in the seat, as Byron say, the right seat, to be a part of a system. People fought to just sit on a bus and not have to go all the way to the back, or either the crowded bus, get up out of your seat so another person could sit down. That's how serious jury duty is. That's how serious we should take jury duty across America. Most people take it for granted. See, when you do shows like this, you're not looking for numbers. What you're looking for is to share something with your people that maybe open up their eyes. So when they get in a conversation with somebody else, they'll know what they're talking about. You'll know what you're talking about. So when you spread information, you spread good information, not just bad information. And that's the reason why a jury pools become so doggone important in a system that we live in. Justice doesn't just happen in communities. Communities participate in justice. You know, I sit here and I'm looking at this. Being present mattered at that time. Representation mattered. When it was taken away and they was excluding you out of the system that you want to be in, now that you have the opportunity to get there, you don't even want to show up. Perspective matters. The right to serve wasn't just handed over. It was won in court battles. They held us out. Just imagine going to court and nobody looked like you. Almost like today. As I get further along in this, you're going to learn that we're in the system probably more than anybody else. And I'm not saying that's the whole reason, but it's part of the reason, because when you get there, nobody looks like you. You know, as we sit here, I know trust wasn't restored overnight. I know what I'm saying is one of those subjects that people gonna turn on and flip away, because they already got to that point where they look at them envelopes or them little cards that come from wherever they gotta go serve, and they already made up in their mind. Like I said earlier, they already made it up in their mind. But this is the type of stuff that we, as Black people, need to understand. If we don't show up and if we don't serve on those juries, we can't be upset with the outcome. If we don't take the time to go down there and say, hey, you know what, I'm here. I'm here and I'm going to go through the system. If I don't get picked, I'm good with that. But at least you showed up. And they're going to have to work around you or do something to disqualify you, or do something to just take you out of the jury pool, because you can't change your opinion, but you can show up. And that's what this show is about today, is showing up. And so you can go to everybody else's show out there, they're looking for numbers. I'm not looking for numbers. What I'm looking for is to talk to my people to help them do better. If you don't believe me, you know, I was looking at this article and I'm going to turn away the opposite side because I want to look at it and make sure I get it right. Educational freedom faces another major test inside of Texas. This case reaches inside classrooms, research projects, medical training. The Texas American Association of United Professors filed suit. The lawsuit challenges policies across the Texas tech system. Policies restrict certain discussions involving race, gender. They also require expanded views of the university's course material. The lawsuit alleges that violations of constitutional speech protects. Plaintiffs also argue Black family members face a disproportionate harm. They don't want to talk about what they did, so what they do is they take it to court and they want to take it out of it. It's just another way of taking history away from us as Blacks. And if they take it out of the school system, guess what? If they take you out of the school system, you don't manage to survive. You don't manage to go forward. Good afternoon, D. How you doing? I see you out there. I'm just trying to talk to you about jury duty because everything is relevant. If you ever had a person or somebody that's got incarcerated, maybe they made a mistake when they was younger, maybe they made another mistake, but if you don't go down to your jury pools and represent, if you can, because I'm gonna cover that later, if you can, they don't have a jury of their peers. They have a jury that's selected from a bunch of lawyers that don't about your so and so. You can put whatever words you want to put in there. Missing work can mean loss of money. I can't pay nobody else's bill, and I tell people that all the time. So if missing work's gonna cost you a livelihood, I advise you to try to get out of jury duty. I'm just telling you. See, we have to keep it real too, because I'm talking to black people. Child care becomes a problem. If you can't get child care, I understand. Another thing that I definitely understand, if you can't get transportation to go where you need to go to get there, in some major cities, they do offer free bus fare if you show them your jury pool thing on that particular day. They'll offer you free bus fare. Oh man, some people simply don't trust the legal system. Then some of us, it's not that we don't trust the legal system, we got too much other stuff that we know if we show up for jury pool that they're gonna review our records. And if we got any outstanding, I'm gonna say other stuff because I don't want to put no names on it, but if we got any outstanding other stuff, they're gonna keep us there for a few days. I'm just putting it out there. Some people feel like their voice don't matter when they go to serve on jury duty. It only matters when that person is sitting there and maybe they didn't do such a bad crime, but they did something that they never did before and it's their first offense, and they need somebody within the jury pool that looks like them to speak up and say, you know what? I'm not saying that he's not guilty. I'm just saying give him a chance. Give him a reduced sentence so he can get back out there and maybe correct it. Give him a opportunity to expunge that record in if he has to. Later on, as he grows up and learns and does better, based on the example that we're giving him today. But if we don't show up, we don't get the opportunity to present that side. But what's slowly starting to happen is they realizing that we're not the only ones that's out there that's within the jury pool that needs representation. See, because you can go in that jury pool, and here's something that most people don't think about. You can have that holier than thou attitude that oh no, I don't do that, so nobody else could do it. And it doesn't matter if you're white or black. You holier than thou, but then you want to hold everybody else up to your standard, and you worse than anybody else. You wouldn't give a poor person on the corner a nickel out of your pocket. So that's the type of jury pool that people go into. Those type of people show up. Those type of people that don't give, they just there for the entertainment. And guess who the entertainment becomes? It becomes those people who need people to serve in the jury pool and represent them, make it a panel of their peers. I'm just, as I always say, you can go anywhere else and you can talk to any other podcaster out there, and they're trying to get their numbers up and they're going to tell you a whole bunch of stuff that's going on, but they ain't going to break it down to you to tell you how to get out of it. And that's what I'm trying to tell you is how to make it better in an equal system so everybody can win. A win-win scenario where a person that does something wrong has representation when they go behind the court system. Others feel that their voice don't matter anyway. It matters in a jury pool. I said, can't do nothing without you. Remember this, they can't do nothing without you. The way they convict, they can't do nothing without you. And even if they have to hear your voice, that one went a whole nother direction. We can't come to a unanimous decision within this jury pool because one person doesn't want to go that way. So don't say that you don't have a voice. That's the one place that you do have a voice. That's the one place where you can change an outcome. That's the one place where it's opportunity to have a hung jury based on one person. Because even when they carry the motion, you have to come in and concur with it to make it a unanimous decision. Just saying. The system wasn't built just for them. It was built for us. Until we realize that. Until we realize that the system was built as a whole for everybody to participate in and everybody to have representation, it's going to always be one-sided. And you wonder how come people go to jail, and then when they go to jail, we want to talk about it again, sentencing. We want to talk about it after it's all over and done with. When they sentence that little 16-year-old boy and turn him into a man for life for his actions, then we want to go back and say, well, they didn't do this for this person. They didn't do that for this person. This is wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong because we're not represented. It's funny because other members have watched family members move through the court system and walk away feeling unheard. Well, the reason why you feel like that is because if you will sit there and look at the juries, you probably would have understood the reason why you feel unheard, the reason why you feel like you don't have representation. But did you look at your jury summons when it came in the mail? Did you feel like it was obligated to go down there? Even if it wasn't for you, you went down there to help somebody else that might be down there, that you have to open up the jury thing to understand that it might not just be for you, it might be for somebody else that's got the same skin color as you do, or a little bit lighter that wants a fair opportunity. Wants the same opportunity that they give everybody else. You see, that's the part that they don't tell you about. That's the part that, they'll talk about the outcome of cases. They'll try to get their numbers up based on the outcome. But I don't think that was right. What happened. And here's the reason why, because it wasn't a pool, jury pool of his people. It was, I got some more witnesses that I'm going to add in there right now because they didn't show up. So we're going to go through the appeal process, but you can go through any appeal process that you is. If you don't have proper representation on that jury, you might get the same outcome. So you get a black lawyer, so you get better lawyers, so you do everything that you can to appeal and get out of it. You have to do is look at the jury pool, and you'll know. Let me just say this because I don't want this to carry on. I want to say some, not all. For many people, jury duties feels less like civic duty, like a civic duty. They engage, and more like another burden. It feels like another burden to them. It's not a civic engagement. It's like it's another burden placed on them. And they already have too much to carry. Now, you remember what I told you earlier about those people that had child care and maybe their bills don't get paid and all the rest of that when they go to jury duty? I understand. But the ones that's bills already paid and they're giving you extra, they're paying your salary for you to go to work and then go to jury pool and all the rest of that? I don't understand. Understanding those reasons isn't the same as agreeing with them. It's recognizing that behavior often contains information. People avoid systems for no reason. The question is, what are they trying to tell us? Research suggests that diverse juries deliberate different. Say that one more time. Research suggests that diverse juries deliberate differently. Different. I just want to put that out there because you might think that old Ron just sitting out here running his mouth. He's just talking. But a diverse jury can give you a different outcome because they have to talk longer. They have to challenge their assumptions based on that person that's in the room. They have to consider evidence from multiple perspectives. It reduces the likelihood of group thought. See, one group, let me break this down. Just think about it. You actually took up an opportunity to go in the jury pool and you're looking at your peers out there and they don't look like us. And they hear your case. They have a group thought. Guilty or non-guilty? All of them say guilty. All of them say guilty. You know why? Because they all look alike in that jury room. No contrast. No contrast. You know, the only way we're going to do this is we're going to have to attend those jury duties and help mitigate biases that otherwise go unchecked in those jury rooms. When Black jurors aren't present, experiences and perspectives that might influence discussion never enter the room. Diverse juries have been shown to engage in broader deliberation and more critical evaluation of evidence, contributing to fair outcome. If you dig into it and you don't feel the same, as they got to convince you to come on their side, so they can get out of there, that means that you have a voice. That means that you have the right to ask for anything that they're not willing to see within that jury pool to help make up your mind and decide if it's right or if it's wrong. So that is one place you do have a voice. They may not want you to. They may want to take it away. They may want to not even let you talk, but they can't do it. Does a seat at the table guarantee justice? No. But an empty seat guarantees silence. Maybe you didn't hear me. I'm going to repeat it once again. A seat at the table doesn't guarantee justice, but an empty seat guarantees silence. If we're not in the room, we can't complain about the outcomes out of that room. You ever notice that? We complain about the outcomes of that room. Do we ask who was in the jury pool? Who made up the jury pool? Was it somebody there that looked like him, that represented him while he was there? No, we never asked that. Let's look at reality facing Black communities. Now, and I told you I was going to go here. Let's just look at Louisiana. And I want to make sure I get the numbers right, so I'm going to look at this thing a little bit closer. I'm going to lean forward so you can understand. Black incarceration rate in Louisiana, approximately 1,052 per 100,000 Black adults. Let me just say that, because you need to understand that number And then I'm gonna make it more serious on the next number that I put out. Black incarceration rate approximately 1,052 per 100,000 Black adults. Black residents make up about 32% of the population, yet they represent a significantly larger portion of the prison population. Oh yeah, y'all did that first. And you say, okay, I understand that. But did you understand that the Black population makes up about 32%? But yet, the prison system have more of us in there than anybody else? Oh, y'all might say that's a fluke. Let's go here. Mississippi, Black incarceration rate, approximately 828 per 100,000 Black adults. Black residents comprise of roughly 38% of the state's population. Oh, we're going to go further because it's a trend here that we're not paying attention to. It's a trend here. The reason why we need to be on jury duty more than anybody else. Alabama, Black incarceration rate, approximately 673 per 100,000 Black adults. Black residents account for 27% of the population in Alabama. So who does that tell you that's in behind prison walls more? Let's go to this state, blacker than black. Call it Little Africa, Little South America, whatever you want to call it in the South. Georgia. You know the reason why I laugh? Because spend some time in Georgia. As a matter of fact, my son is in Georgia. As a matter of fact, got some other connections to Georgia. And so I spend a portion of my time there in Georgia. But here's what I want to tell you. Outside those metro areas that have those large populations of blacks, they don't look like us. They don't. And you know, I had this impression when I was younger that Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and all those states like the Southern Belt were predominantly black. Not the case. Just in the major cities, even including Texas. So in Georgia, 602 per 100,000 black adults. Here's the thing. Even in Georgia, black residents make up about 32% of the population. Did you just hear what I just said? 32% of the population. Who makes up the other percentage? I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, numbers, some people say numbers matter. Well, numbers matter in this case too. An estimated 14% of black adults are excluded from jury service because of felony status. That's the state of Georgia. We only make up 32%, but 14% of the black adults are excluded from jury service because of felony status. Georgia? See, while we run around talking about lovely Atlanta and all the rest of that and everything that's going on within that state, within that area, within that city, talking about little black Africa, South Africa, whatever you want to call it, an estimated 14% of y'all can't even serve on jury duty to represent people. I'm going to keep moving. South Carolina incarceration rate is approximately 566 per 100,000 blacks. Black residents represent about 27% of the population. These numbers reveal a difficult tension. In many states where black communities are heavily impacted by the criminal justice system, many black citizens are legally excluded from jury duty because of their felony convictions. I should have said that twice, but I'm going to continue to move on because I think that you understood what I said. Because of felony convictions. Others may choose not to participate. The result, most people are affected by it. The whole system becomes the least representative within it. We become the least representative within it because we don't serve on jury duty. And again, if we're not in the room, we can't complain about it. What comes out of the room, we can't complain about it. We can't say nothing because we're not participating within the system to make it better, to make it grow, to give a person a voice in the room, representation in the room, deliberations in the room. We're not in that. You know, I want to get in here, but here's what I want to say. A system of improvement. This is about telling people that they're wrong. I'm not trying to tell you that you're wrong. I'm just telling you that we got to do a better job, that we got to try to participate, that we got to try to make an effort. It's about stewardship. We got to be stewards of our actions. We can't become retroactive because something happened. We got to show effort in the beginning to become stewards so it doesn't get to this point. You know, and I'm going to give you an example. Black farmers don't get angry at the field that isn't producing. They ask questions. Is it the soil? Is it the seeding? Is it the timing? Am I planting in wrong times and it's not giving me the results that I want? Is it the water? They begin to ask what needs adjustment. The same is true here. If you don't trust the system enough to participate, maybe the response is you shouldn't be critical. You shouldn't be critical of it. You shouldn't even criticize it. You don't have a right to talk if you're not participating in it. I don't know. You know, I'm just, when I get to this point, I'm just talking to people because my people. Because it seems like they're in a system where they're overrepresented, but they don't have anybody to defend them. Not talking about the lawyers, talking about the people that have the same skin tone or skin color as they do, that grew up in the hard times, to understand the hard times that a person may have been going through. Understand that person, that was their first offense. Maybe we can offer them a lighter sentence for correction versus putting them in a hole and just leaving them there and becoming a statistic, even a statistic after they come out, because they can't vote. They can't vote. They can't participate within a jury pool. They can't do any of that. We should be trying to we should be trying to reduce those barriers. We should help get the jury pay up if that's what it takes. We should be voting on those things. When people come down to serve on jury duty, we should, if the pay is not good enough to sustain you doing work or missing work, we should be involved in raising the jury pool salary. Should employers offer stronger protections? Yes. Because if you don't have the right job, it doesn't matter and you get a jury summons. If you can't afford to take care of your household, put your child in daycare and all the rest of that, that's a legitimate excuse. But we got to do things to help get that, to make that better. Should child care support exist? Maybe consider it for jury duty. Maybe you get more people coming out. Should communities receive better education? Yes. Yes, of course. That's what I'm trying to do here is open your eyes to not serving on why you don't want to go out and serve on jury duty. And you might have seen the title of what I'm talking about, and then you decided that, man, I don't want to listen to that. That ain't hell no. If I get that thing, I'm gonna throw it away. I'm not going down there. I got better things to do with my time. But here's the thing when you do that. It doesn't affect you until it's one of your own. Then you want to go down there and you want to sit in that courtroom on this side of the bleachers behind the lawyers and everything. And you want to know why did they do what they did when you look over to your left or your right and you look at the jury and you're saying, I don't see nobody over there that look like me. I don't see proper representation in that jury. What's wrong? It ain't nothing but those type of people here. Then when the conviction comes out, you're the first one up in arms. I'm just sharing that thought with you. Hopefully you can get it. If you show up for jury duty, you can make a difference. You know the biggest question, and I'm just going to be honest with you. What does it say about a system when the people who need fairness the most trust it the least? Sometimes you just got to pause and let people think about it. You don't have to repeat it. And to break it down into perspective so you can understand what I'm saying, here it is. And we talk about it all the time. We may talk about it again tomorrow night. People vote against their best interests because somebody else does it. They vote against their best interests because they don't want to feel left out. They vote against their best interests, but they need the same needs as the people on the other side. But the other people that they're voting for are talking about smaller government. Help me understand. I'm just saying, you can't fix what you're unwilling to examine. So we just examined it, put it out there. I put it in perspective where you can understand. I tried to share some reasoning behind it and some real life stories. You can't improve what you refuse to understand. Before I get over here, I just want to tell you something. UConn program faced federal housing complaint. You know why? These programs included serving Black and Latinos within schools. I'm just telling you, you better get ready for it. I like bringing up some of this news because if you bring it up, at least you can go out there and research it. A partisan housing bill becomes federal law. And you know who didn't sign off on it? Trump. It became law on its own. He didn't sign off on it because he don't care. He don't care about you. And that's a good example because if you want to get to a point where you want to buy housing today, it's out, you are outpriced. It's getting to a point where they really don't want to build houses for people that can afford them. And if you buy a house, let me just say, if you buy a house, even though your house is there, you take on the element that's around your house by the people that can afford to buy it. If it's a first-time house and it's an opportunity for you to get in there, by the time you get in there and you're going to be ready to get out of there because people are coming into your community and they don't respect the community. But everybody should have an opportunity to buy a house, and that should be the first example that you see of Donald Trump not identifying with you, because he's not seeing that the house is important more than him supporting changing voters' rights to take more people out. So because they didn't agree with the voters' rights that he wanted to put out, he voted against the housing. So how can you vote for a party that's voting against your best interest? And that's just a prime example that I'm giving you right now. They still are out there fighting for jurisdiction maps. Just another example of people just taking stuff for granted. You think that it's not a fight going on? And jury pool is one of them, but think about bigger opportunities. Think about what happened here in Texas. They mapped out to reduce the amount of people, and I say to reduce the amount of black people that could represent those big cities where majority of them were black in those particular counties. They took them out. So you're behind the 8 ball on jury duty and everything else. So I'm just putting some information in place so you can understand. And you know who they're coming after also? The black church. The black church has often and always participated in the democratic process. This week, a coalition includes Christian, Jewish, and Muslim faith leaders. The leaders gathered near the historical Fernando Cathedral. They called upon officials to protect free elections. Trump didn't want to get the housing in because he wanted the right to change the right for everybody to have an opportunity to vote. So he reduced people getting into the housing. Just one more thing I want to cover, and it's at the bottom because ICE agents fatally shot Lorenzo Salgado, a journal, Joe, in Houston. In Houston's Magnolia Park. I've been watching this on the news. It's two sides to this story. I don't want to. First, I want to say I'm sorry that the family had a loss. And it ain't nothing I can say about that. But here's the side of the story that I don't get. A man gets up in the morning, he goes out and get his normal workers. Oh, all of y'all know what I'm talking about. Because if you really want to conduct ICE business, the only thing you have to do is go to these construction sites that's building these houses, these $1 million houses, and go in there and go up and down that whole street, and you'll get enough to fill up your prison systems if you went out there every day. But in turns, what you will end up doing is hurting the industry that's out there. But see, you want to be selective in where you go. You want to get somebody that you see going down the street and in a van of workers, but you could have just stayed behind him in those unmarked cars where he probably would have felt more comfortable, where you let him go to that job site and catch more people. But no, you get impatient. You want to be this hero, and this person, all of a sudden he's running away from you on the video. I would run too. A bunch of people in unmarked cars come up to me and I don't care. Flash a badge and you flashing a badge from a car that I don't recognize, no symbols, no lights, no nothing. I would run too. So the man ran. And when he ran, they got to a point where they say that he ran over. That still doesn't give you a right to kill a man. If you got everybody else out of the van and he comes out of the van, if he get the opportunity to come out of the van like everybody else, And you could do whatever you want to do and take him to jail at that particular point and then charge him. You don't have to shoot him. Are you just that afraid? Because I can tell you, if the roles was reversed, you would do the same thing, in uniform or out of uniform. What if it was a group of people, a militia that got together and started chasing you? Would you think that they didn't mean you no harm? Unmarked vehicles just running up on you. So you got to do a better job of identifying who you are when you chasing somebody. Then you don't end up in this situation where you got to shoot somebody and lie on them and tell them that they ran over you, that they ran towards you. Because that's the second time it's been happening. That's a problem with you guys in ICE. Y'all need to resolve that. Because people are losing their lives. I'm sorry, but it goes back to jury pool and representation. Even though I say that this is real talk for Black people, sit in your space. If other people want to join in this conversation, I don't have a problem, because I'm talking about people. The real reason why I call it real talk for Black people, because my people need to understand that they're going down a process that if they don't change the pattern, they're doomed to fail. And that's with anything that you go through in life. If it's a bad pattern, you're going to be doomed to fail. So unless you change the pattern and the process in which you get in there and understand the reason and try to go do better, we're going to have the same problems. ICE running around in unmarked cars chasing people, that's a problem. Stop paying them high salaries to make people adjust their conscience of what they're doing and start investing in some cars that identify as ICE. So you want to pay high salaries so you can make people feel good about the job that they're doing, make them feel good because they're paying their families and they're getting those salaries at what cost? How many more people got to lose their life behind a bad situation? I'm sorry. I'm going somewhere else where I shouldn't be. I'm getting ready to get out of here. But if you don't understand the jury system, that person could go in there and sit on a jury panel, and when they get there, if it's nobody there to defend them, Hispanic or Black or anybody that understands what he's went through, they're walking out of there. And that's right here in my fair city of Houston, which I grew up in. So I saved that one for last. But do you see how many attacks are just coming after Black Americans here, or Black people in general? Do you see it? Basically, all the stuff that I talked about that's going on in the news right today is coming after us. Jury pool is just one more thing that we can change by showing up. Maybe jury duty is inconvenient. Maybe you distrust the system. Maybe you don't believe one person can make a difference. I can go with you. Those feelings are real. But so is the question, what happens when Black Americans don't serve on jury duties, on jury, don't serve in a capacity to change something? People don't avoid the system for no reason. Their choices tell a story. If we're willing to listen, those stories can become blueprints for improvement. A seat at the table doesn't guarantee justice, but an empty seat guarantees your voice doesn't get heard. So what are we giving up when we choose not to show up? And what we might gain if we finally understood why so many people don't. This is just sit in your space. Sit in your space and think about it. Because the problem, they're out there not endpoints, they're invitations. And maybe the first step toward building a better system is having the courage to understand the problem. Sometimes we just have to connect the dots. And by connecting the dots, we can resolve a problem. But if we don't put the dot there in the first place and put another dot as a destination, and in between there put something that's going to get better, how to make it better, how to do better, how to build our community up. The only thing we want is headlines. The only thing we want to know is what somebody else is saying about somebody else, information being false. But let me tell you, all that I put out today is true. None of it is false. If we don't show up on jury pools, our people don't have representation. With that being said, I want to say thank you. Thank you if you participated. I want to say thank you if you just joined in. I want to say thank you. Please share it with somebody else. I'm not about you subscribing. I'm about us getting better as a whole. You'll never hear me say subscribe. That's up to you. You do it on your own. That's not what I'm here about. That's not what I'm here about. So I want to say thank God. Because I always end my shows with that. Because if we don't change, if we don't understand anything else, I'm going to tell you, you better learn how to pray. And again, this is something new that I started doing. I challenge each and every one of y'all to reach out to somebody, at least 5 people, minimum of 5 people that you know every day, and just tell them good morning by text. You don't even have to see them. Just tell them good morning. And that travels. And as it travels, it makes for a better day for everybody. Sometimes people never hear the word good morning. And your one good morning may make a difference in their life. Take care. I enjoyed you. I'm getting out of here. D, I saw you out there. Just want to say thanks for listening. Y'all take care.